Okay, so there's a few times and places you should avoid hiring a third party to run your ads, and there's a few places you shouldn't even be running ads at all. I'm here to kind of walk you through and share what we've found with our experience of running ads for over 50 businesses, what the bare minimums are in which you should be running ads, or when you should look to have someone else run your ads in the first place, right? So, but before we go into it, the first thing I want to compare this to is I want to make an analogy, right? Everything you're doing with ads, it's like putting fuel on the fire, right? If you've gone camping, you've been to a campsite, you know that you can't just dump gas on the fire and expect anything to happen, right? But what you have to do is when you go to a fire, you get some matches or you get some wood or you get some flint and you start a spark, right? You start a spark, you put some kindling on, you build up the sparks into a small flame, and then you put gas to make the flame go boom, right? And that's kind of what you want to do in your business too. And the first thing you should look at when you're running ads or considering running ads is, do you already have paying customers? Is your idea validated, or do you know how to validate your idea, right? If you've run a similar business in the past, 100% you can start with ads, right? But doing ads for a new company, new idea isn't necessarily the best, right? Just because you don't know what works. And then the other thing, there are better ways to validate an idea, like emails, calls, going out, knocking doors, things like that, depending on your service, right? The second thing is, you know who your customers are. Like, if you can solve their pains, desires, and their benefits, if you know exactly why they buy, it makes it easy to know what makes them convert and buy when your credit card is on the line, right? And you can test these better with ads, but you should have a base idea. You should be able to build a couple of hypotheses through your own sales process and sales cycle. And the third thing, you have an optimized sales process. Closing people over ads is harder than closing people over referrals, right? You generally, when you get referrals, you don't really have to sell them on why they should go with you as much. You generally have to sell them kind of a little bit on why they should do it and a little bit on why they should go with you. It's not too hard. Generally, with ads, depending on how your ad campaigns are going, you may get people where you have to completely sell you to them, or you may have to sell a little bit on why they should do the service, right? It depends on the service too, obviously. Most of the people you see from ads, you just have to sell them you, which isn't that hard, but it is an adjustment, right? So you want to make sure you're efficient and you can ask the right questions and good questions. Next thing, this is kind of simple. You just want to make sure you have a plan for handling leads. Like, where are you going to email them? Where are you going to text them? Where are you going to store them? Where are you going to track your data on those leads so you can make iterations? How are you going to call them? Where are you going to call them? When are you going to call them? Right? Obviously, you don't want to burn cash on leads, so don't overthink this one, but keep in mind that you're, I forget the exact stat, at least 3 times more likely to get a pickup if you call them in the first 5 minutes. So you do need a system, right? And from what we've seen, when we call people more than once and we call them for like a couple weeks at a time, we're likely to get a pickup from everyone and a combo of everyone. And the next thing you want to look at is, do you have satisfied customers already? This should explain itself, but if your customers are not happy with your work, getting more work will not really help. Getting a lot of work won't help. It'll just harm you as your reviews get worse, which makes it harder to get new customers. And the next thing is, you can safely invest some budget for advertising. This is kind of crucial. For most industries with ads, you want to spend around $30 to $50 per day. Now, this is a bit different if you do LSA, where LSA you only pay if the lead is qualified. It's kind of like running ads with training wheels, right? It's really good to do. But for like Facebook, pay-per-click, you want to look at your average lead and close time. You want to see how long that takes to collect the cash and give it 4x or 3 months, whichever is longer, and then set that budget, right? If you can collect that budget during the advertising time, you're fine. This allows you to test, because the first iteration of ads may not work. Plus, the sales cycle, people won't close right away. It might take them a month, it might take them a couple of months. If your ads are printing month 3, it's probably because you're closing some people from month 2, month 1 opt-ins, and from month 3 too. But just make sure you can budget this out. And when should you hire someone to run your ads? Unless you have a full work schedule, from what we've seen, if you're not running ads already, if your full work schedule can be 20 to 50K per month and you're making close to that already, great, hire someone and bring someone on for ads. Ideally, though, if you're not running ads, you should have team members and you should be out of one portion of the business entirely. or have the ability to do so, right? Like if you fully delegated sales or fully delegated fulfillment, you can hire someone else to do marketing for sure. And then generally from what we've seen, if you have 4 workers, you should be fine. We haven't seen a huge issue with this because generally you're going to have enough cash on hand and reserves to pay them out regardless. And then basically you do want to keep in mind the agency's fee as well. You should be break even month 2, month 3, unless you're doing SEO, but it is something you do need to watch out for, right? And these are kind of the things that we've learned as we've built our agency from the ground up. And yeah, we have taken on some people where we shouldn't have taken on, and we had to stop running ads for them because frankly, the math or the problems there were things they needed to fix. So keep this in mind if you're considering hiring an advertising agency or if you're hiring someone to do marketing for you. Just keep it in mind.